Alpha is one of the top trending meme coins on the Solana chain recently. The question is why? Who is buying here? Who is selling here? How much longer could this rally last? Let's have a look at the on-chain metrics, the data most people are not considering. Now here's the overview of the trending tokens on the Solana chain. And Alpha is at number 7 in terms of liquidity. It's got 2.1 million. We are now at a price of 9 cents. And of course, most profit has been made in the early days, but we are still going up. We are up 46% in the last 24 hours alone. Now there are some numbers that I don't like that much. Have a look at the Twitter account, or say the X account. There's 28.5 thousand followers here. And that compares to 6,000 members in the Telegram channel. But that's then in relation to 37,000 holders on chain. And so yes, there are more holders on chain than there are Twitter followers, but to me it does not look like all of those Twitter followers are organic. Usually the multiple or the relationship between the number of Twitter followers relative to holders, the difference is much, much larger. Here we've got less than a 1.5x. This is not usual. I believe that the Twitter following is not organic. But let's have a look at the on-chain data in a bit more detail. On the left side, we see the daily trading volume in US dollars. On the right side, we see this normalized to 100% per day, segregated by different wallet sizes. Now, the 26th of January had been a massive shift for the token. That is when the price in a single day made a 10x. But even afterwards, with all of that volatility, we've seen the price more than double, while the trading volume did not go up anymore. In other words, it seems like there might be some accumulation by the very heavyweights going on. The trading volume continues to stay somewhat balanced among segments, but the number of first-time traders isn't really going up that quickly anymore. Isn't that fascinating, right? When we get a 10x in the price, that nobody is taking profit, and that even though the number of new traders is slowing down, the price continues to go up. What we've got over here is the number of retail investors versus whale investors over time. And the way we make this differentiation is by minimum holding thresholds. So to be counted for the wallet on the left, a wallet has to hold at least 10,000 alpha tokens. So at the current price, it's roughly $1,000 worth of the token. And so those 37,000 holders already get down to 4,000 holders just when we have that threshold implemented. Now for the chart in the middle, we have another 10x in minimum holding. So that's now 100,000 tokens or $10,000 worth of the token. For the right, another 10x, so that's now $100,000 worth of the token. Still, I find this data very, very surprising. The number of whales did not really change. The number of retail investors continued to go up relatively constantly. And so nobody that bought on the 24th, 25th or 26th seemed to have been interested in taking profit after such a massive pump. I'm not sure if that makes sense. Usually we would see some people taking profit, right? Usually we would see some kind of a correction, but the price tends to continue to climb up. I think we've got the answer over here. This shows us how much of the token supply is held by different wallet cohorts, and the whales accumulated massively on that 26th of January. Just have a look at the fraction of tokens that are held by the whales. This went from 24% all the way to 90%. And now the whales tend to be taking profit. The price tends to go up, but the whales are slowly realizing their profit. But they realize it slowly enough that the price isn't really declining. So they don't want to just pump and dump. They want to pump and then slowly take some money off the table, maybe at the same pace as retail is accumulating. Have a look at the larger wallets. After the whales accumulated, they increased their share to now 25% of the supply, roughly, a bit more than that. Again, when we look at the value that's held by the whales, this shot up on the 26th while it went down for large retail, right? For the wallets that have around $10,000 worth of the token. Large retail took profit while the whales accumulated heavily. And the question is, are they going to dump at some point? Here's the thing, the market isn't expanding as quickly anymore as it used to, right? With the Trump push, now the question is what can come that's even larger than that, that pushes prices even higher. And because of that, because it's more and more player versus player, even though the market in aggregate might be somewhat balanced, it's still just a few assets that outperform everything. Have a look at this picture. The tokens that are between 101 and 200 in terms of market cap, they in the last month went pretty much plus minus zero, right? They gained slightly. But when we look at this picture, picture here, that's just because there are a few massive outliers. And the question really is, when we look at 100 tokens, how likely is it that we are going to pick Toshi or the Swift coin or AIC? Especially when we hold a diversified portfolio and we have, say, 5 or 10 altcoins, the likelihood is pretty high that that altcoin portfolio is going to underperform. Because if you held AI16Z and you made a minus 76% loss, or you held Turbo and you lost 40%, or you held Memecoin or Mu and you're down more than 30%, it's very hard to still have positive performance. And I'm a fan of trying to get the odds in our favor, right? It's possible to pick the winners if we are very, very early, and if you adopt something like Trump in the earliest hours, and if you are one of the top traders, that is possible. But if you don't have time to watch the crypto markets 24/7, or if you're not based in Asia, then it's very, very hard to get those winners all the time. And so why not go the easy route? Why not simply bet on falling prices? If most altcoins do worse than Bitcoin most of the time, and if there's just a few assets that outperform that massively, then we can just pick a random asset over here and we are very likely going to make money in the next month. We just have to make sure that we don't fall for those few tokens that are discussed everywhere. When we bet on falling prices of Chili's or of Safe or of DYDX, and that's a comparatively safe bet. It's definitely still risky because this is the crypto market and the crypto market does get manipulated, but it's less risky than trying to find the needle in the haystack. And there are some tokens that underperform more consistently than others. For example, this one over here, Balancer. I started shorting Balancer in the middle of 2022. I went on and off about that position. Sometimes I was short, sometimes I was out of the market taking profit. But since that point in time, Balancer underperformed Ethereum by more than 80%. So it's not just that most altcoins do worse than Bitcoin. It's also that some of those altcoins underperform most of the time. And so I've made several videos on this topic. It's a comparatively advanced topic because it's also easy to get burnt with shorts. That's why most retail investors don't get involved in this. But there are premium tutorials how to win in bear markets by shorting altcoins. It's 42 minutes in length. Then there's another video gaining from relative valuations. Then there's another one shorting optimism relative to Bitcoin. This has been published quite a while ago. This, by the way, is now optimism relative to Bitcoin. So this was a good position. And the reason why most altcoins do worse than Bitcoin is tokenomics, as in more and more tokens get issued over time. And if the demand cannot keep up with the token issuance, then the price has to underperform the rest. Now, this is not a good strategy during a massive bull run, but it is a good strategy during a bear market, of course, but also during sideways movement. Because again, even during a sideways movement, money flows just into a very few basket of altcoins. Most alts do worse. And so this is all part of the premium membership of this channel. Premium is not just about shorting, it's also about on-chain analytics. It's also about portfolio management and risk mitigation. There's more than 100 tutorial videos in total in premium. Now, this is not a topic to make a 10x next week, but it is a topic to outperform steadily and slowly. And if you can only outperform, say, by 30 percentage points per year, and Bitcoin itself already grows by 30% per year, which I believe is somewhat of a conservative bet. Then if we do this over 4 years, and again, we don't have to trade very actively, we can 8x our capital. Now, if you have just a few $100s of invest, then an 8x within 4 years doesn't really sound that great. And then by all means, feel free to gamble with that money, right? Because you can also recoup the money very quickly just by working more, just by saving more. But if you've got already several years of your income saved up, or if you've got $10,000, $50,000, if you have more money, then an 8x does matter, right? 10K becomes 80K in a relatively okay-ish time period. And so I actually find it easier to make money in bear markets and during times like this. Again, because we don't have to pick the winners. We can simply have a diversified portfolio of short positions. Again, because most altcoins underperform Bitcoin most of the time. If you own a lot of altcoins and you hold them over 10 years, you're probably not going to do that well. Because have a look at the top tokens 10 years ago. How many of them do you really recognize? Paycoin, BitShares, MadeSafeCoin, NXT. Yes, Stellar is still around, Dogecoin is still around, but where is Peercoin, Counterparty? Dash also underperformed Bitcoin quite a lot, so did Namecoin. So really, the crypto markets are not venture capital markets, right? The crypto markets are very much player versus player, and it's better to simply bet on the vast majority doing worse most of the time. Not in a bull market, but most of the time. And I believe currently this does apply. Currently we are in most of the times. The crypto valuations are comparatively high. A lot of people made profit and took profit at 100K. And so if your portfolio is large enough, it's not just a few $100s, but it's maybe in the $10,000 and above, then feel free to check out the premium membership. It's currently $165 per month. There's also a 1-week money back guarantee. So in case you don't like premium, simply message me within the first week and I'll refund you 100%. There's really zero risk for you. I am personally not a fan of buying the Alpha token now. Yes, there is still a lot of upside potential. Yes, the market cap is still below 200 million. And yes, in theory, if the centralized exchanges accumulate the token, we could see another 2, 3, 4, 5x potentially. The issue really is that this is now becoming a player versus player market, and the market as a whole isn't expanding that much anymore. So instead of just running behind the latest rally, trying to catch a train that's already running, maybe it's better really to bet on the overall trend that things are concentrated in a few tokens and most tokens do worse than average. I'm now looking for opportunities to short the altcoins. I'm trying to find altcoins that don't have too much attention. I'm not trying to chase the latest trend, even though some of those tokens might do okay. If you do this for long enough in this current market environment, you're probably going to end up not too well. The category as a whole, the Pump.fun ecosystem, the Memecoin ecosystem, has consistently lost in the last few weeks, and it's probably going to continue for a while unless we see massive inflows from new people again. I'm not sure if that's going to happen after Trump has already endorsed crypto, right? What's going to happen next? When buying altcoins, I think it's best to bet on the contenders that have organic growth. With Alpha, unfortunately, we just see a pump by the whales. The question is really, when are they dumping? If you got some value out of this video, feel free to subscribe. I publish videos regularly. A like would be very much appreciated as well. It helps the channel grow. See you in the next video, or see you in premium. Cheers.